Hey everybody, thank you for joining us at Easy Tarot Lessons. Here's another episode. Got something rather interesting for you today and a little bit of a rant. So we're going to jump right into it. Sharon and Mandy are here. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hello.
Hey.
So one of my students from China wrote in and asked, can you send me a whole bunch of books on how to read the tarot? And I was just ranting about this, so I wanna say for the air, I want to put this out and have people think about this. Now, this is just my opinion on this. But again, I've been doing this for over 4 decades. I'm old, and teaching, learning, reading, writing, arithmetic. Um, that's an old person joke from reading, writing, arithmetic. You millennials don't understand that stuff with your cursive handwriting. We don't do cursive handwriting. That went out with MTV. Grandpa's bitching about MTV again. What the hell is wrong with it? So back in my day, we didn't have no internet. We had cable TV and we liked it. God, somebody's gonna be saying that one day soon. All right. So the problem that I have with recommending a whole bunch of different books is the same thing that we have with buying a whole bunch of different decks, and we've all made this mistake. If you haven't, you're next in line. The problem with jumping from book to book, trying to figure out the tarot, is you're just going to go from book to book and you're going to get different advice and different information. You're going to waste a lot of money, but you're not going to get any better at the tarot. You're going to get more confused. You're going to think you might know some things, and you're going to come across other things that go against what you know, which makes you think that you don't know things. And I have to say, like we say in the course, the magic is within you. The magic is in you. The magic is not in the tarot. The magic is not in the cards. The magic is not in the books. What you need is one good book or one good teacher, or one of each. You say one of, that'd be nice. And then you need a deck, just one deck, and go with it. And oh God, I would like you guys to study with the Wade Smith deck, because that is the deck upon which all modern decks are essentially based or rebelling against, including the Crowley deck, including the Boda deck, the what's the other one? And so on and so forth. And even the modern, even the Wade Smith deck is based off of Itea and the Soul of Blue Sky and the Savorsa deck and some of the others, the Marseille deck, but be that as it may, it represented a real turning point where from this point forward, the minor cards or the pip cards will be illustrated. And that's where we get a lot of our meanings from, which of course are distorted and whatnot. So yes, there are much prettier decks out there, but if you're looking to learn and you want to give accurate, precise, and reliable readings, one book, one teacher, one deck. If you stray from this, and you're welcome to, because everybody else does, you're going to end up wasting a lot of money and wasting many years, but you're not going to get that immersive, intensive skill and practice that can only be developed by sticking with something that works and doing it over and over and over. Now, that's my opinion on it. Sharon, many books, few books. What has been your experience, and how has it worked out for you?
In my younger years, many books. Right now, just one for the last 5 years. That's all
What did
I
those
need.
many books do for you? What did those many books do for you?
Seriously confused me. No, you get 5 books and you have 50 different meanings for every card, and then you start superimposing, like say you're reading the Book of Thoth, and you're superimposing the Crowley meanings on top of the weight meanings on top of the actual image of the card that you're reading. Oh my God, it's gobbledygook. Sorry.
No. I wanted to see what your experience was. So did that make you a better reader?
No, not at all. It just confused me, like you said, and you can't superimpose different systems onto one poor little card that has nothing to do with any of them, you know?
Yeah, I found the hard way that it's no way to satisfy the needs of the people you're reading for, and it just makes you look like a chump. And
That's
I got tired of that.
so when people look at you and say, "What language are you speaking?"
Eh, is this your first time reading cards?
Oh yeah.
No, no, shut up. What about decks? Have you? No, I'm just saying. I've gone on the search for the perfect deck. Maybe this deck will work for me. No, no, this deck will work for me. I will go and bounce back and forth trying to make the deck find the right deck. Uh, but that was me. What has your experience been with? How many decks have you bought, and what was your experience with them?
I did that backward. I had one deck for 25 years. I didn't even know. I, I didn't think I was allowed to buy my own deck, Dusty. Paul probably wishes I still thought that. So I had one deck for 25 years. Took me about 6 years to find a deck I could work with after that. I couldn't even use the same deck. It looked different. Didn't have the black borders. I just couldn't. And um, now I have about 37.
How many? That's actually a very small collection.
You taught me I
How many
could
do
buy my own.
how many do you read with? How many? I'm like literally. How many are in circulation?
Two,
Okay, this is good. Why?
because they speak to me the loudest. They're the ones I've spent the most time with getting to know, and they're special to me. They're just special to me because of where I got to them from and who gave them to me. These two were gifts.
Awesome, awesome. By the way, any parents listening, that's a great superstition to keep your kids from wasting money. No, you're not allowed to buy your own deck.
What's
That
the
way your
second
kids don't
deck,
you
Sharon?
end up with 100 different decks. It's like, oh my God, you run up the credit card bill.
Yeah, what's
Mandy,
what?
yes.
I was just wondering what Sharon's second deck is.
They're surprisingly they're both Rider-Waite Smith decks. My
Oh,
first one is the one Dusty did for his students,
yeah.
and my second one is the one my friend Gretchen Short colored.
Oh,
Nice.
okay.
Beautiful. Yep.
Gretchen
Okay.
is an awesome student.
Oh yeah, she is.
Too. Anybody ever get a chance to study with her or get a reading from her, definitely top notch. Mandy, same question. You've been doing this for a little while. What was your experience with books and decks and whatnot?
Oh, yeah, I was buying all sorts of books, and I had this idea that I would kind of like have hundreds of different spreads, and I was reading through all these books to find all these different spreads, but none of it was kind of like settling in my head at all. Um, yeah, and as far as decks are concerned, I've probably got about 30 decks, and I read only with when I say I only read with one deck, I only read with my Dusty White present, the first deck that you sent out. I
Yeah.
love that. That is my go-to deck. But I have got a second deck that I always have there at my readings, which is also a Rider-Waite Smith deck that my son Roman bought me as a Christmas present, and the picture on the back of the deck is me, the Mandy on the Moon logo.
That is such
Nice.
a
So
beautiful
you have
deck.
two custom made decks.
Yes, yes.
That's pretty awesome.
And my Mandy on the Moon deck is my second deck, because I do sometimes it's still right away, so the images are the same, but I do sometimes use two decks when I'm doing a reading. Like I want
No,
to,
that makes sense.
so in case
Yeah.
the same card comes up twice, that sort of thing. So it's not as though I'm kind of thinking, oh, I'll read with one of my other 30 decks today. I just don't read with them at all. I mean, I didn't buy them with the intention of not using them, but I just don't. I mean, one day I absolutely would like to have a go, to be honest.
We all do that. We
Mm.
buy, and I've seen this over and over again, especially with myself. I got a damn museum. I got a charm museum. We collect decks. Now, collecting decks, collecting coins, books, stamps, collecting things is awesome. But
Yes.
so many of us, we buy decks with the intention or the intent of
Yeah.
going, wow, I'm gonna read with this deck and that deck. Some people collect spreads. We have all these different spreads, and it's really nice to think that life will get out of the way so we can spend all of our time mastering the nuances of every spread and mastering the nuances of every deck, so we can say, oh, well, because it's a wonderful fantasy to go, oh, okay, I'm sensing your problem. I'm going to kind of like what is that, Harry Potter in the wand shop, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to try this deck with this spread, and boom, there's your answer. And it's really nice to think that, out of hundreds of decks and hundreds of spreads, but reality sets in. And again, if you look at the people who are out there making money day in and day out, or if you're not into the whole money thing because it's capitalist pig dog stuff, if you're just like, well, I just want to do it all the time, okay, fine. Look at the people that are out there reading for people constantly. One or two decks that are in constant circulation, and the number of spreads are very simple. Again, I always say 5-7 spreads maximum should be in your repertoire, and most of those, you can like doing 1 or 2 spreads are going to be your mainstays. It's just the way it works.
Also, I think it's a bit like having a good cookbook. Do you know what I mean? If you've got a good cookbook, you'll find a few recipes that work for you, and then you kind of adapt them as and when. If you're having to do a vegetarian version of what you're cooking because you're having one of the people is vegetarian, you will adapt what you already do to kind of meet that need. You'll just be creative with something that you're really solid with. And occasionally maybe try something new, but just for the hell of it. But you just, I don't know, like you say, 5, 6, 7 spreads, that's more than enough.
And there you have it, kids. We don't want to dissuade you from buying every deck on the planet because U.S. Games and Los Caribbean and the independent publishers, they need your money. Go out and spend freely. Go to Walmart, go to Amazon, support your local bookstore, demand that they carry every deck that you want. In other words, go out and spend that money. It's better in their pocket than in yours. So see, there's my pro-consumeristic message to make up for the fact that I just told you guys to save your money and not waste it. But we don't want you to end up wasting months and years of your life like we did, when we had ourselves back in the day going, hey, do this and everything will be fine and you'll be instantly better at it and whatever. So take this advice or don't, but this is hard-won advice and we want you to benefit from it. Now, with all that out of the way, with the remainder of our time, I do want to talk about beginning cards. I was reminded that we started this, we never quite finished it. So we've done ending cards. We did ending cards, right, Sharon?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
And we have to do transitional cards and other cards. But I want to talk about specifically, there's 78 cards in the deck. Some of them can be categorized specifically as beginning cards because there's a heavy-duty theme that when this card shows up, something new and different has happened. We are about to start something. You're at the cutting, bleeding edge or the cardinal edge of this. Cardinal meaning like the blade, the blade of the knife, the blade of the sword, the axe, the cutting part, not just the whole of it or which is a different thing. Like say the cutting edge or the bleeding edge or whatever. So in that sense, given that we're short on time, because I want to keep you guys here forever, and we can always revisit this, let's take a look. I'm going to rattle off some beginning cards very quickly. Feel free, please do this at your leisure. You can stop the podcast or, remember later on to pull all these cards out and look at them to see what they have in common, or look at these versus the rest of the cards. And did we miss any? If so, go on iTunes, go on Podomatic, go on Libsyn, leave us a comment, email us, you know how, and say, hey, what about this? But comments work, definitely work the best. Right. By the way, if you're not subscribed on iTunes, please go on iTunes and hit subscribe and leave us a review. That's my blatant advertisement. This is advertisement free so that you can enjoy it. So show us some love and get out there and post us a little review on Amazon. Hopefully you'll give us 5 stars, but again, whatever you say is fine. Notice I didn't say, give me a 5-star review on Amazon. I hate it when, or iTunes or whatever the hell. I hate it when people say, you must do this for me, because that doesn't remove your power. All right. Boy, he did talk a lot, didn't he? Yes, I hear you wanted to say something, Sharon.
We're on YouTube now, too.
Yay, YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. Yeah, that's awesome. Again, we're here to flood your brain with information. So subscriptions and reviews help. We need your help. If we don't get it, we'll start charging money. Give us money or we will hurt this kitten. Like, what?
No.
Give us reviews or we'll start charging money. So let's get right into this. Okay, very quickly. All aces are beginning cards. They are cardinal. They are huge. These are an abundance of something, or the beginning, because ace equals 1. 1 is the beginning of 0 through 10, 0 through 9, or in this case, 1 through 10. 2 different ways of looking at it. Pages are beginning cards in the sense that they are students and children, people or messages, things that instigate. So when I say beginning, I also want you to think cards of initiation or instigation. So there's a whole, it's not that, oh, this card is always just the beginning of something. It could be an initiatory, it could be instigatory, it could be have the properties or qualities of the beginning. Like spring is not necessarily the beginning of anything, unless we look in astrology, it is the beginning of the year. But we look at the Judeo-Christian calendar, it's around Easter, it's kind of like we started in winter, right? Forward. The point being is that spring has all the properties or qualities of the beginning. New seeds, not seeds, well, maybe seeds, but flowers are blossoming, and things are coming, starting to grow from the dead of winter and the destruction of fall. So in that sense, whether or not something is specifically your first day on the job, a honeymoon phase may occur at the honeymoon, or it may occur near the beginning. But even if it's delayed, it has all the qualities or properties of the beginning. Something is fresh and new. So in that sense, pages, wands, sometimes the twos, and certainly the magician, and very much so the fool, have the properties or qualities of all this fresh, new, beginning, initiatory, instigatory things. Mandy, I'm putting you on the spot real quick. I'm just throwing this out here to set the table so we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Did you have any thoughts, or did I miss anything? How would you like to add to this?
Well, yeah, I mean, I do sort of see beginnings as sort of being creative. So
Yeah.
possibly even the 8 of Pentacles. I don't know. I just feel he's at the beginnings of a kind of a project where, I see he's working on it and he's got more to do as he goes up the tree. So I might see that as a beginnings card, depending on, the reading.
All right, so helping the audience, that's the guy sitting on a bench, banging on a coin with his hammer, and he's got a string of coins going
Yeah.
straight up in front of him. Okay, so just in case people couldn't get a visual on that.
Oh,
Right,
right.
so that's interesting. And also, if we look at the traditional meaning of master and apprentice, where the three of coins is the master and this guy's the apprentice, that kind of harkens back or reinforces your theme of beginning.
Yes. Yes.
That always threw me, because in numerical order 1 to 10, why is the master before the apprentice? I know that's kind of out of
That
the
always
blue.
bothered me with numerology, because we were supposed to go like 0 to 10, as in like on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the best? 10 is the best, and 1 is the worst, and so we're climbing up, and so how can we put the master before the apprentice? Especially when 9 and 10 are like, oh boy, you've made it, you're there, and that always bothered me back in the days of trying to force numerology into the tarot. And
Right.
this is why we have to just throw all that away and just look at the card image itself and say, what is this particular card saying, even if it breaks the formula that we've been taught to believe? Good question. I mean, there's a good question.
I mean, you could argue about certain cards once you put them into reverse, kind of like, say, death reversed. It's kind of, it's something being over has made way for a kind of like a new start, that kind of thing.
See, here's some advanced concepts, and they're like this because not everybody, of course, is at the beginning of their journey. So yeah, you have death reversed. On one end, it could be stagnation, like, this is never, ever, ever going to end. But on the other hand, that same card could also, as you said, be the other side of death, which, again, the ending of anything is literally, by its very nature, the beginning of something else.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of death. Well, let me say this real quick. That's the beauty of death, is it implies we have no idea what the beginning is going to be. I mean, you think about it, just the word death, everything it means is the end. Like, you're focused right here. Your eyeballs cannot see past this point. So even though it's a transition, even though it's the end of something to begin something else, the concept of the death card and the meaning of the word death is it implies a focus on that which is ending rather than that which is beginning.
Yes.
I think that's a very important metaphysical point, so I wanted to interrupt you. But yeah, what were you saying before I stepped all over you?
No, I mean, like, the Hanged Man reverse, it's kind of things beginning to start moving again.
Interesting. I like that take on it. Absolutely, like a reemergence back into society.
Yeah. The tower reversed. It's time to start rebuilding things. I don't know. Obviously.
I like your hangman thing, because I've been on this damn Weight Watchers diet and lost almost 20 pounds, and I've got a little ways more. A little ways. I've got a lot of ways, but I'm about halfway to my goal of 185. But I've been looking at stuff going, like, right now I'm like, okay, I'm counting points, I'm being careful, but once I hit that 185, I'm just I'm gonna reward myself. I'm gonna I may not eat all the pizza, but I'm gonna go out for a big giant pizza just so I can stare on it. Maybe I'll have only a slice or two. Like, screw you, diet. See this giant pizza? It's all mine. I may never eat it, but it's mine. That's less. So that's that reversal of the hangman. Like, I am re-emerging into society. Woo!
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's very. I like the way you're bringing out non-obvious beginning cards, and I think that's really what I would like people to get out of this most. Is, yes, there are beginning cards, kind of threw a whole bunch of easy ones out there, but throughout the tarot, whether upright or reversed, many cards.
Yeah.
The damned Three of Swords reversed is not exactly the friendliest or happiest re-emergence of life.
Yeah. Oh, what about? Sorry, I'm really excited about this one.
Yeah.
Sharon knows why. The Five of Cups reversed.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's time to turn around and see those two upright cups and move on.
I like that. I think that may be one of my favorite reversed cards to have.
Yes.
Stop being so emo. Stop moping. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, lordy, Lord. Sharon, thoughts?
I, I got hung up because Mandy was mentioning reversals, and the only thought that's it's like screaming in my head is, can we do a podcast on reversals next?
We've done so many podcasts on reversals. I mean, I know they're old, but people have to go back and dig back in the archives. We did reversals. That was one of the very first ones I did. Then it was like, oh God, that's boring. So we did it more fun. We did red light, green light. Remember that?
Yes,
people need to go back and look. This is all free, so I'm not going to tailor make a lesson for everybody. Oh, you didn't hear that one, and you're too lazy to go. Not saying you, but generally, you're too lazy to go back and listen to these 5 free lessons. I'm not going to make a new one just for you, saying the same thing I said earlier, or coming up with a new take on it. Kind of like if you want the personal attention, that's why we have an academy at easytarotlessons.com. That's why I have private lessons. But yeah, thanks for letting me rant.
No, I need to hear a rant on a specific thing that's being taught on reversals by a very large school right now that made me just angry. And people are being taught that if you get a reversal, that it can mean the card that came before it. And I'm like,
wait, what? Oh no.
And
Oh, no.
I was so mad, Dusty. I was like, why the hell wouldn't you get the card you need? Why would you get a card that says it's the card that you're not even looking at? How confusing is that?
Oh,
oh no. Okay, boys and
weird.
girls, this is why we do what we do. It's not a matter of we're right because we're smart or we're pretty or whatever. I mean, all that aside, you see what I did. Never mind, it's a joke. But the idea is we don't want you to suffer bad teaching. Anybody with a giant microphone can become president. Anybody can become anybody who is in a position of authority can shout and scream and make noises, let's see, like the American Congress, and screw everything up and make people, disillusioned. So it's not the size of the audience that is the arbiter or the decider of that's the boat. Those are just bastard words I use. Sorry, but that doesn't decide the quality of the educator or the education. So, for the love of Christ, I pray to baby Jesus wherever he is somewhere. That you got that from Talladega Nights too, baby Jesus, baby Einstein. I just love that. Sidetrack. Anyway, no. I pray to all that's holy or unholy or whatever it's going to take. Stop poisoning yourself with just crap information. Like, how can a reversed card point to some other card with that? It's like, wow, somebody really had to stretch the laws of probability just to come up with that. And it's one thing to keep that to yourself, but to proclaim this is the law and then to proclaim it as law to a large audience. Folks, just understand the public is about to be deluged with crappy tarot readings, which is going to make you look bad because it's going to make all of us look bad. So the only way we can fight this attrition is with better education. Free education for everyone, he says. Well, screw it. You got the podcast, right? No war on terror. War on bad tarot readings. Oh, God. See, I'm sorry, ranting again. So the point is, I want you guys. I want you guys to be well instructed. I want you guys to give awesome ratings. I want you guys to have people throwing their children at you, like literally. Here, thank you. It was like you've saved my life. You've changed my life. You've made it better. I want you to give clear, concise, or verbose, but clear, accurate, specific readings that make sense to people and give them a working plan, a plan of action that helps them improve the quality of their lives. One reading at a time, we are actively, we're already doing it, we are actively retraining the world to show them that there are good readers out there and that tarot readings are valuable. Sure, Sharon. I'm angry now.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I needed to hear that rant. Because it eased me. Thank you.
I
Yeah.
find that like quite amazing that somebody's mind went there to think that that was possible.
Oh,
But
it brings us
yeah,
right back to what we were talking about in the beginning with all that different information and trying to superimpose it or just getting confused. And Mandy, when you were starting reading, if you turned over the Six of Wands in reverse and you believed it meant the Five of Wands, would you have even been able to see the Five of Wands in your head?
no, I mean it's just really odd. I mean, that would have just confused me all the more. But I think the thing is, when you are learning, you start to believe everything that you're reading and hearing.
Yes.
That's the frightening thing. Because
especially in the world of metaphysics.
Pardon?
Because in the world of metaphysics, everything's like that horrible video, The Secret. Now, granted, Rhonda Byrne, if you're listening, beautiful video, but at the same time, come on. Everybody bought into that, like, oh my God, I have to think happy thoughts, and if I'm poor, it's because I'm a bad person, and if I'm rich, it's because I'm a good person who thinks happy thoughts. Because Bernie Madoff, the Ponzi scheme guy who made billions of dollars, oh, he was just thinking happy thoughts. It's like, no. In the world of metaphysics, there's so many lies and so much like, oh, it's mysterious, it's hidden. And therefore, if it's mysterious and it's hidden, it's got to be true, which leads us into conspiracy theories. Oh, God, we got to stop the madness.
Yeah, you have a whole lot of students who don't exist. They live in Australia. Well, they don't live in Australia, from what I've read on the internet. They're really just paid actors, all living in one flat in New York.
Yay, paid actors, crisis actors. Oh, God. Okay, so we're off the rails. Hey, everybody, thank you for listening. Here's the essence. Take everything with a grain of salt. Take this with a grain of salt. Research it for yourself. We are so good that we're actually out here doing it. We're giving readings. We're getting paid fat stacks of cash to do it, not because we're ripping people off, but because people like us. Because people like us. We want people to like you too. If you need money, we're hoping that you will choose this as a profession. If you don't need money or you don't want to do this as a profession, we're hoping that you will do this for yourself, that you will use this as a tool to help expand your awareness and to help yourself and others around you. That's why we do this. It's why we have an academy. It's $1. $1 US dollar to start. I know with Europe, there's like a value-added tax. I can't help you with that. I don't run Europe, nor do I want to. But it's $1 to start. But we've always got free lessons for you here. We're on YouTube. We're on Listen. Subscribe on iTunes, and you've got a whole catalog. If you subscribe, you get to see the whole catalog of information. And you get the ability to comment and tell us what you think and request lessons. In the meantime, go back, listen to the one on ending cards. As far as beginning cards, go back and just do this. Take out your beginning cards. Take a look at them. See what they have in common. Understand the nature of what you're looking at. And then when you're looking through the rest of the deck, if you want extra homework, don't push yourself too hard, but look and see how other cards can be. Big emphasis on can be beginning cards, ending cards, transitional cards, whether they, depending on whether they're upright or they're reversed or the situation that they're in, and get within a study group. If you're not with us and you don't have a study group, get with a friend. You grab a friend off the street. Say, hey, you're going to learn the tarot with me. But have fun studying. You need to study by yourself. You need to study with others. And then at some point, you're going to need to practice on strangers. But before you start practicing, try to make sure you understand all of what we're talking about. It'll make your life infinitely easier and also keep you from looking bad if you haven't done the practice and you rush out there to do that. And please, for the love of Christ, don't grab every book on the market. Oh, I'm sorry. Spend your money. Be a good consumer. Okay, that being out of the way, don't waste your money. You know, I'd like you to read my books. They are very good. They've helped thousands of people. Number one this year. Number one again on Amazon. Woo. If not, read somebody else's book, but hopefully it's a good one. I can't control that, but if it's a good book, then yay. But one book, one teacher, when study and then practice. That's what makes a good reader. Not jumping around from book to book, not jumping around from deck to deck to deck. Any words of wisdom, Sharon or Mandy, before we bail out of here?
Oh no, we covered a great deal there. Thank you, Dusty.
We did. Got a random today.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Mandy.
Hey.
Look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye for now.